no smoke, no ash. It's as if your worries are like completely gone.
It is this really fun environment that you've created.
It's also a way to bring EQ and empathy to the forefront.
And you're right, it brings you into the present. I'm Michelle O'Brien. Welcome to the Upward Spiral podcast. I'm really honoured today to introduce you to Andrew Pang, owner of Bar Spectre and also regional brand ambassador for
Suntory Global Spirits.
Suntory Global Spirits. Bar Spectre is a mental wellness themed bar and restaurant in Tanjong Pagar in Singapore. And it's got this really incredible vintage apothecary vibe when you walk in. It's so welcoming, so warm and so beautiful. Andrew invites his guests to explore authentic connection and mindful presence through TCM-inspired craft beverages and offers and even encourages 0 proof, half proof and full proof cocktails. But what's really unique about the bar and restaurant is that every signature beverage comes with a therapy technique, community activity, and all wellness talking points. So today we are going to be talking about the intersection between mindful drinking, mental health, and the bar restaurant industry. So look, this concept is so intriguing for me. I have struggled with my mental health at many points in my life, particularly in my 20s, a lot with depression and anxiety. I never even considered that a bar could become a safe space for me, or a place where I could kind of explore my mental health even more. So I really can't wait to get into this today. This is so unique, and Andrew is going to tell you a lot more. Hello, Andrew. Welcome to the Podster podcast studio here in Singapore. Thank you very much for meeting me today.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how are you feeling today?
Good. We are almost at the end of May, so that's 6 months in 2024 just gone like that.
Yeah.
Just realized.
It's going so fast.
That's right.
It was my son's 5th birthday on Monday.
Oh,
and I'm like, Christ, where did 5 years go?
Where did 5 years go?
Yeah, flying by. But they say the older you get, the quicker it goes, right?
That's right.
First of all, let's tell me a little bit about your story and what's led you to this point and where you are today.
Maybe we'll start somewhere in the beginning. I studied psychology in university. The plan was always practice counseling at some point. When I left university and I left early, couldn't afford to complete masters, left with a bachelor's, I went out to us. So I joined Singapore Airlines as a flight attendant. Good way to, pay off my study loan and travel in time.
Yeah.
And saved up enough to do my masters. I left the airlines in 3 years, where I got my background in spirits and wine, I suppose, and kind of like fell in love with hospitality at the same time.
Yeah.
So when I left the airlines and was looking for my master's program, I thought I still needed some sort of allowance or a side income, and joined my poly classmate in wine whiskey retail. Right.
Yeah.
We at that time also it was I think Suntory. So Yum's won best whiskey in the world, and that everyone was just exploring because it's always been Scotch. So we got into that at the right time, got enough traction to open a bar by the end of the year, and I just got more and more operationally involved with the business. Our focus was also education, because my cohort, about 3-4 years by then, wanted to know more about whiskeys, because they were bringing out clients, they were bringing the bosses out, they didn't want to order basic stuff, things that we would, drink in volume versus quality at that stage. So I got a reputation in education, spirit education as well. That's how I landed the Suntory role as an ambassador and advocate. And it is now in 2021 when I joined Suntory as ambassador and advocate for the industry and for our brands. Thought I could do a bit more for F&B. And how do I then combine my background in psychology and do things that I love, like service, and to text with signature serves. So that in a roundabout way is how I got to to where I am.
You got to it. And so, like, how did the idea for Bar Spectre come about?
I wanted this to be more of a psychology themed bar. We toyed with the idea of retrospect first, where people will come to the bar and the name indicates that you should slow down and take a look behind. My days with the airlines, I would always go for runs without data or with data, depending on the region I'm in. But I picked up a habit of always turning around to see where the hotel accommodation was, so that on my route back, I could spot familiar landmarks. And I thought retrospect is a good idea to just turn around and look at checkpoints of your day or the week or your life, and and just acknowledge and befriend it. And then my business partner told me it was a boring name and we should go with Spectre, since you want to keep spec or introspect and prospect and retrospect. Since you want to keep that perspective in a way in the name, let's call ourselves Spectre. And we did a little bit of research and found a very relevant quote by Carl Jung. And he talks about everyone having a dark shadow that we don't quite understand. And we interpret this to be a mental state, right? We're not trying to fix anything. We're not asking you to fix anything when you're a Spectre, but we want to create a safe space for you to be comfortable, explore your emotions, and just befriend that dark shadow or Spectre.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, you just gave me chills when you said, oh, befriend your dark shadow and Spectre. That's really, really, really powerful.
Yeah. Just sit with it. You don't need to do anything. Sit with it.
Yeah, and that takes some learning. I am definitely, the way I've handled my mental health challenges in the past has been to keep busy. The way I've handled my mental health challenges in the past has been to keep busy. I'm very much okay, let's distract myself from this, let's take on more. And it's only really been in the last few years that I've been really trying to learn to sit with it and be with it. And it's very uncomfortable.
That's right. But the more you try to, or the more you learn to do that, the longer you last. You don't burn out. And to me, that's more authentic sustainability in Singapore's context, where if our only natural resource are people, then I want to invest in mental and physical health. That's our sustainability, especially for the F&B scene where everyone's talking about, I use a lemon or a lime wedge like 10 times. But if it's going to be stuck on the causeway or flown in from somewhere, then it's not, true sustainability.
Yeah.
But I like that it's easier. It's also okay to adapt this to mental health when we're trying to fight burnout. What is our version of sustainability?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, I love that as well. Oh, we've got so much to really get into this today. Is there a story behind kind of maybe your own mental health or wellness as to why you wanted to create the bar?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so personally, I don't think there's anything majorly wrong, but I have gone for some therapy sessions, and I think what I've learned is if I meet so many people, right, how do I be authentic as I can to everyone? And on a day where one table is unreasonable, I have to, face that, take that, and then turn around and smile at my staff first and foremost. I'll smile at the next table. So
Yeah.
I struggle with a lot of, how do I be authentic?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then I always I used to go back and always reflect and I should have been nicer to the people that I actually care about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have recently been having some EMDR therapy, some eye movement desensitization therapy. And this is to really help me with my limiting beliefs. And one of my limiting beliefs is that no one's going to like me. It really has been something that I've had to kind of dig into, and especially with putting myself out there with the podcast and the YouTube channel and really actually trying to be my most authentic self and trying to, okay, I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but also being okay with that and trying to kind of come to terms with that. Okay, actually, I'm a good person and I work really hard and, I'm really passionate about things, and it's okay to show people that passion and that kind of nerdy side of me and everything else. So yeah, it's really interesting that you've kind of had a similar experience, I suppose.
Yeah, and it does get to the best of us, I suppose, and it's a lot of being okay with not being everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. You want to be liked, right? I don't know a lot of people who don't want to be liked.
But being okay with it, but not being unreasonable about it.
Yeah.
Like, don't lean into, oh, everyone doesn't like me, no one likes me, so I'm just going to be mean to everyone. I don't think that's a bit
Yeah.
well, self-defensive in a way, but it shouldn't reach that stage.
Yeah. But I think having the courage to be your most authentic self is what everyone should try to aspire to.
Yes.
Really. So actually, before we kind of go into like the TCM side and everything, let's tell the audience a little bit about what they will experience coming into your bar and what actually a mental wellness bar looks like.
I try to be also, we talk about authenticity, to be more authentic about using the terms mental wellness and psychology, especially in a place that serves alcohol. So as you said earlier, every signature serve, the whole experience is embedded in some form of therapy technique. This is everything from journaling to mindfulness to somatic healing and various other resilience building community group sharing sessions. So you come to Spectre, already when you come in, there are dried flowers hung at the entrance. So the aroma should take you out of the CBD, right? Out of the busy business district that you just came from. The colors green and rosewood, reflective tiles that should indicate some form of water, and water is healing, water is movement, movement is life kind of thing, are brought to your table where our team will bring you through our little welcome ritual, which is writing down a worry. Actually, you can write anything, good or bad, but ideally we want you to write something that you want to get off your chest. After you do that, we'll give you a lighter and you set it ablaze. It's on flash paper, so what magicians use for misdirection, no smoke, no ash. It's as if your worries are like completely gone. We don't proclaim that they're completely gone. We're not professionals. That's also indicated in fine print on the menu, but we do have QR codes, and we do say this in the introduction, we do have QR codes that link you to a therapist or counselor should you need to speak to anyone or feel the need to speak to anyone else or more professionally trained. With that, we explain that it's a simple exercise in journaling. We call it cleansing by fire as well. It's quite symbolic, it's quite cathartic. It also acts as a physical reset to everyone's conversation. And in Singapore, everyone just talks about work. Coming from the CBD, very likely you'll be talking about work as you catch up with your friends. When the flame goes up, it acts as a physical reset so that everyone kind of stops and arrives mentally together to enjoy the evening with the company.
Yeah. And I love that kind of, okay, now it's time to connect.
Yes, yeah.
To be together and listen to each other and yeah.
Yeah, we've all heard of bars that, encourage you to put your phones in the basket or take your phones away because that's the most predominant one. But it's so hard to pry people from their phones.
Yeah.
So with this physical reset, we do encourage sharing on socials. But we've noticed more after the fire or the paper ignites. Everyone's like, okay, I did not expect that to go up in my face and things like that. And then they start the conversations. It's quite amazing.
I loved it. It was like that little bit of theatre, just kind of having that moment. And you're right, it brings you into the present. It kind of grounds you in that moment. And then you're ready to, okay, we're here now, we're present. Leave whatever's bothering you at the door let's start the evening. So I think it's a really special ritual.
I like that you also said leave everything at the door, because moving forward, this was something that we wanted to do in the beginning, but we haven't really sorted out the design of the lobby. We wanted to put a few, garbage bags and trash cans outside to leave your pride, leave your ego, and leave your just at the door.
I love that. Yeah. That's great.
Precursor and like a little reminder that everyone's here for fun. We should respect everybody as well. So that was the idea. You'll see it soon enough, but thank you for the reminder.
I love that. Okay, I'll check that out when I'm next there. Once everybody's gone through this ritual, then what happens?
We immediately introduce our menu. It's a bit more sensory kind of menu, and we play on the principle of mindfulness using other senses than the sense of sight, which is, according to studies, 80% of people focus on what they can see, and it influences what they taste, and how they feel. So we want to break away from that. We have indeed an apothecary theme for our bar, and that reflects in our back bar, where we do take garnish and ingredients from the apothecary drawers for our cocktails. Our menu is designed to reflect that. And each drawer of a menu comes with a little scent.
And we've got one here. So for anyone that's listening on the podcast, there's one on the table. So
It's just going through the menu now. So each drawer comes with a different scent that guests can take out and smell.
yeah. And then on the back of the drawer, it tells you
Oh, that's
the
right. Sorry.
category almost, right?
That's right. And then we have a fan, very oriental fan, with our menus that reflects the flavor or aroma that you smell. And this fan is also coffee scented. So after you smell, you can give a little whiff or take a little whiff and reset your nose. So very experiential, very interactive, so that people still don't go back to their phones really, or the phones are there for just social posts.
Or
and stuff
yeah,
like
for
that.
taking pictures of the whole experience because it's amazing. And so the 4 categories or the 4 kind of different drawers that you've got with the different smells in, what are those?
We go down a different route. So as a bartender, we normally try to guess people's flavor profile by asking, would you prefer sweet, sour, or fruity? It's quite basic. So we're looking at acidity, we're looking at sours. That's not really pronounced or explained to people. So with this menu, we explore various other flavors. So herbal, citrus, umami, and spices in general. Because in cities like Singapore, when you say spicy, people think of chili first or mala
Yeah.
or things like that, where spices are cinnamon, cardamom, and things that have so much depth of flavor rather than just something a bit more numbing.
Oh my gosh. And this is amazing. And so all the cocktails that you've got on this menu, they're a mix, aren't they, of 0 proof?
That's right. They're a mix of from 0 proof to regular cocktails,
Yeah.
and I don't put the 0 proof cocktails at the end. We talked about inclusion, so it really is based on flavor, and yeah, it's a good mix of maybe non-alcoholic, then a regular cocktail and a low ABV.
Yeah.
It's what we feel goes in terms of maybe fullest flavor or lightest flavor to fullest flavor. Doesn't mean there's alcohol in it or not.
For me, I absolutely love that. Like, I love being able to feel included whenever I go to a bar. I still want to have the same experience as everyone else. And I think that's what's so special about Bar Spectre is that you're giving that experience regardless of your drinking status.
That's right. And glassware plays an important part also. So even 0 proof drinks, they don't come in water glasses, right? We don't make anyone feel like a child or anything.
Yeah.
It still comes in a wine glass or a rocks or a coupe or a Nick and Nora with proper garnish. So we don't leave anything out. You're here for to nurture community, nurture relationships, and we want you to be a part of that.
And are you finding that people are kind of more open to trying the non-alcoholic options because they're saying, okay, I'm choosing this drink based on the description, based on the flavor profile, not based on the alcohol content?
Yes, and in fact, our top selling drinks since we opened are low ABV drinks, followed by 0 proof, followed by regular classic cocktails.
Yeah.
So people are reading our menus. They are looking at, I never knew these flavors could work together. I never knew you could use some of this traditional Chinese medicine in drinks because of the word medicine. But it's medicinal, but it's not really like paracetamol where you can't take alcohol with it.
And so, yeah, that's a nice segue actually into TCM. So tell us a little bit more about that and what that means and how that's incorporated.
In TCM, or in Asia, we talk about heatiness and coolness of the body, your qi, your yin and yang, and that balance. So with a lot of people drinking whiskey or eating durian, for example. Are you a big fan of durian?
I love the smell, controversially. I love the smell. I just could never get into the taste of it. But really funny, when I was pregnant, so I've been in Singapore 10 years and my first 6 years here, I was working in Chinatown. Mm-hmm. And during my first pregnancies, I just started to love the smell. And I was like, oh my gosh, like durian, it smells amazing. And, I had a colleague made me try it again. And I was like, okay, no, I can't quite get to the taste yet. But even now, with all the pregnancies are well and truly over, I still really like the smell. And I think there's just something really kind of comforting, and it just reminds me of those times as well. I don't know what it is.
No, that's fair. And I think aroma plays a big part. And then texture. So
yeah.
I completely know what you mean, and I'm not a big fan of durian smell and taste.
Yeah.
Giving it some chances over the years, but it's a very popular food item in Singapore, right? And we work very hard, very long hours. The body builds up that heatiness. And so what can we serve in the cocktail bar that addresses this?
Yeah.
Right? And it's simple traditional recipes that I found. Half of them are converted to English by my good friend's wife who studies TCM to lower your heatiness or make you feel a bit cooler. There's another way we do that, of course, the traditional way and a Western way is to drink beer. Beer is also cooling, but what can we do in terms of craft and flavor and driving that whole craft cocktail scene that Singapore is so famous for, right? Yeah. Can I do something that's without alcohol? Can I do something that is more intentional versus just looking at my back bar and like, can I combine these few things to make a drink? So we've taken, for example, boat lily flour. We've taken pandan, zero sugar, boiled it, a bit of cinnamon, a bit of ginger, very like ginger. Ginger's a bit more for heaty.
Oh, I'm a big fan of ginger.
There you go.
Yeah.
But the taste is familiar, so I don't want to go too crazy. Some familiar notes that people can understand and then discover something else.
Yes.
Yeah. And then going down the whole bubble tea, 0%, 50%. We can add sugar to it. It's always easy to make things sweeter, right? Yeah. But start you off with this one. Balance the astringency from the plants. You have a cooling drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if people who want to make it a cocktail, it's not difficult to add a cocktail mix. You know, half vermouth, half gin. So again, lower ABV versus just 30 mils or 45 mils of gin into the cocktail. So very measured, very controlled.
Yeah. And very like sophisticated as well. Last week, you served me an umami one. I can't remember which one it was. I'm sure it had like pickle juice in it.
Yeah.
Can you remember?
It wasn't a watermelon one. We do non-Collins, so Tom Collins, but non-alcoholic. Yeah, and the play is still on using all the spices and herbs and botanicals that you would in a gin, but we're just boiling it in water with a little bit of sugar.
Yeah.
So you get the same texture, same weight, but just no alcohol. The key thing is for a gin is it has to be majority juniper. So that's where we're going.
It was so beautiful and almost quite savoury. It wasn't very sweet. It was very unusual, but very sophisticated. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. That was really nice. So tell me what happens after you serve the drinks.
If guests order drinks that requires a bit more journaling or sharing or reflection, we serve them higher proof drinks. For those who aren't doing alcohol, we encourage them to be a bit more forthcoming with their answers. Ultimately, if they want, I share my answers as well or what I've been doing to make them feel a bit more comfortable, right? But going down the experience, for example, if you order Tea and Sympathy, which is our top-selling low ABV drink, the key word here is sympathy or empathy and EQ. And there are only four distinct ingredients in this low ABV beverage. Sauvignon Blanc, green tea, matcha green tea, honey, and a mint garnish. We don't even use mint in the liquid or infused into the liquids. And the idea is you are practicing noticing or empathy. If you can pick out all four different ingredients, different flavors, then you're practicing noticing.
Yeah.
Right? So we do explain that to the guests and they're like, oh, okay. It's also a way to bring EQ and empathy to the forefront of the conversation.
I love that everything that you're doing here, all of these tactics are really bringing people back to the present and bringing people back to that moment and that connection with each other and facilitating conversation. That in itself is mental wellness. It is.
And a lot of resilience building. So another beverage that we have that is easily split into we have a zero proof version and a alcohol version is this drink called Questions, where the main flavor is grenadine, right? For the zero proof one, of course, we do a little bit of modification, so it's not so sweet. We don't just pour grenadine syrup. We actually get pomegranate and other fruits and try to mimic the taste. But the idea here is we host a series of personality test questions, not because, it's not scientific. Excuse me. But the idea is to nurture relationships through conversation. In some countries, they're very quick to medicate for depression or anxiety or any sort of ADHD. But for countries like France and New Zealand, I know that they are practicing more social bonding and community development, where they look at more outings, more occasions where people get together as a form of resilience building. So how can we do this a bit more intentional in a bar setting? The personality test is not scientific. We run everyone through these questions. I share my answers, and at the end of the day, people can decide if they relate to the answer. But the fun part is when their friends tell them they do and they disagree. So that's that conversation and the laughter that they're getting.
Yeah.
And we share our answers. The staff share their answers as well. So people feel closer to us and to the bar.
It's just so fun, right? And this continues throughout the night. So with every new drink that they order comes a new experience.
That's right. And we also have classics available because sometimes people want to stick to something familiar, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we do encourage trying one of our signature serves. If not, we do, on occasion, quite frequently actually, go out with a round of kombucha and soda shots.
Yeah, homemade.
Homemade. I think the recent more popular one is hibiscus kombucha.
I think that's what you gave me last week, and it was so good. I was like, amazing.
Yeah, but we don't tell people what it is until they answer the questions, do the personality test, and then that acts as a placebo. So, but we do hit our results also, hit the aim of it.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to see how our guests react after the personality test or when we explain the concept. And it seems like their experience there with their friends are elevated.
And I think you've just kind of hit the nail on the head then when you just talk about kind of the fun. Because when you say, okay, we're a mental wellness bar, I think, oh, that sounds, initially you think, oh God, that sounds like, I'm not sure what that is or what that's going to be like. But it is still an incredibly fun bar experience. So aside from kind of all of these things that you do to cultivate conversation and drive conversation and connection with people, tell us a little bit about what happens as the night progresses at the bar.
As people come in, we hope that there are different segments, of course, for running a F&B business. So instead of happy hour, we want to do more workshops. We've recently concluded a series of 3 art therapy or art jam and beverage pairing. So it could be, again, a 0 ABV or low alcohol or a regular cocktail. But people come in, they paint, and there are 2 drinks, one welcome drink and one in the middle. We found that people are too engrossed and too focused in the painting that they don't even finish their first drink, and then they have the second drink after. But that's the purpose of art therapy as well. It's supposed to help you focus. So that's our 5 to 7 or our pre-dinner activity. And then dinner, fingers crossed, we want to do a series, a 4-course dinner, and every course comes with a different personality test. So that's in the future, a bit more intentional again, or any activity that encourages the social bonding, but a bit more guided. And then from 9 o'clock onwards, the bar is open for our cocktails.
Yeah.
The music also slightly changes, where we play more, 80s and 90s kind of anthems, and people are singing around top 40, singing along rather. So top 40 songs. And the idea is still centered around community. If people sing together, there's more bonding. And can you imagine the whole bar singing like, Backstreet Boys or something?
Yeah, that's my vibe. I'm
there you go. Right?
I love that. I'm not into the new music.
That's right. So that's the idea behind the consumer journey. If they start from 5 o'clock to the workshops and then a guided dinner and then
then a party, Yes,
yeah. With your dark shadow, basically.
Yeah. I love that. I do really want to kind of stress to anyone listening or watching this that it is just this really beautiful, welcoming space, and it's fun. It's not this. Okay, yes, we're talking about mental wellness, and I'm sure you have maybe moments, and maybe we can talk about that, about people getting a little bit dark on what you do when you do find people who maybe need some help. But before we get into that, I just want to stress that it is this really fun environment that you've created, and it's a fun night out. It's not just quite serious.
We do understand that people sometimes want a quiet space, and the mental wellness is just not outward to guests and consumers. It's also a practice that we want in Spectre for my staff. So just like hospitality, mental wellness has to begin at home. Internally, we're trying to make the traditional stressful F&B life a bit less stressful. There's still a manner of discipline. There's still a manner of service and manual labor that can't be avoided. But how do I allow my staff to, work from home, right? So we're trying to develop based on a traditional 6-day work week. Can I give my guys a one day work from home, and we call this a creative day, where they're out of the bar, decompress, go to the beach, come back refreshed and inspired. You know how many ideas you get when you're in the shower because you're not thinking about work, you're just decompressing and like, oh yeah, you get an idea now, right? So we hope that with this space outside the bar, they're able to come back inspired. And towards our guests, we are looking at trying to get everyone psychologically first aid trained or mental health first aid trained, right? That way we know also how to be better and at responsible service of alcohol. We know how to cut people off faster, better, and more accurately without offending anyone.
Yeah.
And there are QR codes in our menu and at the bar where guests can scan, and they are directed to a counselor or a therapist if they need to speak to anyone immediately. And this, our guys are a bit more proactive about at least notifying people that there's this option.
Yeah.
So party, yes, but we are prepared and ready if you feel like you need
if
to
you
talk
actually
yes.
need some help. And I think that's just wonderful. And it's funded as well, right?
We don't get commission. So for the public, they still get connected and they explore from there.
Yeah.
But we've managed to secure about 100 free hours of therapy for the F&B industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is really just to lower the barrier to entry for therapy. I went for one of those sessions myself. I actually had one this morning as well.
Oh, you did?
The idea is not so much that there's anything wrong with anybody, but sometimes it's good to just talk to someone.
Yeah.
And that's where I discovered things and habits and practices I could do to better myself, and I'm better for it. It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
I learned about this technique of noticing in one of these sessions, my first session, in fact. And it took me 2 or 3 months to practice that actively to be more authentic and smile at people more authentically, like a psycho.
Yeah. Not going in like big smile, like looking like the Cheshire Cat. Just
That's right.
yeah, it takes.
Which I've learned to do really well from my time with Singapore Airlines. So I want to be more authentic.
And it's hard, isn't it? Sometimes days you just come into work and you think, God, I'm just tired. I don't want to do this, and you have to plaster a smile on your face, but people can see through it.
That's
so,
right. That's right. It doesn't help when you're smiling at people and say, "You look very tired."
Yeah.
I know. Thank you very much.
That's basically what everyone says to my husband all the time. It's like, you're right, you look really tired. I love that. It's very Singaporean as well. Like the to tell you that you look tired.
Yeah.
Like in England, people are kind of a bit more polite and will just say, "Oh, how are you feeling? Are you okay?"
That's right.
Rather than Singaporeans like, "Oh gosh, you look terrible today. What's going on?" You're like, "All right, thanks."
That's right. Yeah.
I do love that about being here. Everyone's just so direct. It's amazing. Can you share examples of like how specific menu items are designed to promote relaxation or connection or other kind of positive mental states? And I'd love here to talk a little bit more about like the ingredients, and maybe the kind of the experience that goes with it.
These are more talking points. Officially, I cannot say that these food items will make you feel better because there could be an element of alcohol, right? I think the government is going down mandating that we put a grading for sugar for every non-alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
And officially, I cannot put that with my alcohol cocktails, although there's sugar there. Because if there's less sugar and the alcohol drink gets an A, then it defeats the purpose of this, healthy kind of grading system that the government wants.
Okay, is that the reason why they're not doing it for the alcohol?
It's a can of worms.
Right. Okay. Because I'm still new to this and I'm still learning about this.
Yeah.
And obviously, I've been speaking to a lot of like non-alcoholic drinks alternatives and brands, and they're trying to navigate this space of now having this labeling. And for some of them, it's brilliant because they are incredibly low sugar, so they're kind of sitting in that kind of B, which is great. But there is that frustration with the non-alcoholic drinks brands that alcohol isn't going to be labelled in the same way, and I was wondering why.
This is the best theory I have, because if I give my alcohol drink an A and a non-alcoholic drink a D, people are like, oh, this is A, I'm going to order this. Right? That's our mentality. We're looking at A to D right now for non-alcoholic drinks.
Yeah. That makes sense. So for anyone who's listening who's not in Singapore, there is a new food grading system, and it's based on the sugar content of food and drinks.
Yeah.
And you will be A, which is 0, has no sugar and no sweetener. So something like a tea or a black coffee would be an A. And then B, C, and D, and I can't remember the various amounts.
Yeah.
But again, you kind of go into Starbucks now, and other kind of coffee shops, and all kind of on the wall, everything's labelled A, B, C, and D, which is great, but it can be really confusing at times. And something that we've seen here is like a caramel frappuccino with sweetener is sitting at a B, but then a tea with fresh strawberries is sitting at a D. Even though the strawberry, it doesn't have any additional, it's a natural sugar because it's from the strawberry. And for me, it's like, well, actually, we know which is the healthier option. Yeah. It's the tea with the strawberries. But when you're looking at the A, B, C, or D, you're just looking at the sugar. And so I think there can be a little bit of confusion with it. But we're
still working it out.
Yeah.
We're still working it out, Singapore.
Yeah.
So for alcohol and ingredients, for example, we have this drink. It used to be called endorphin, and I think I want to bring that back because it's really cute. And endorphin uses rum as a base, and we infuse this with chocolate, cacao nibs, with blueberries, with almonds, with vanilla, with other elements and food items that encourages the production of dopamine and endorphin.
Yeah.
Banana as well. Tiki style drink comes with little, the garnish is a banana dolphin, hence endorphin. The idea is we tell our guests that all these elements encourage production of endorphin and dopamine. So, if you're feeling lethargic or hangry, have some chocolate, have a banana, and your mood is boosted. Yeah. Officially, I cannot say that rum makes you feel better or feel good, but that's the idea, you see. Yeah. And using these ingredients helps us talk about that. This is, of course, more Western. For the TCM ingredients, we're looking at ginger or orange peel, some fermented stuff as well. We're looking at kombucha, things like in the kombucha family, or fermenting tomato or watermelon, which we use in our food dishes. So we're trying to do the whole zero waste thing. It gives a bit of brininess and tang to our bolognese sauce using the fermented tomatoes. The brine goes into cocktails or zero ABV drinks.
Yeah.
Right. I like using things that are a bit more exotic because that helps, tick the boxes of branding immediately.
Yeah.
So one drink that we do that comes both zero proof and alcohol regular cocktail version is this snake soup cocktail, or snake soup beverage rather, right? So I follow a traditional recipe. I go to a TCM wholesaler, buy snake is a python species, but more of a garden snake, and we cook it with dates, almonds, licorice, your traditional, herbal soup base, and then we add a little bit of ginger beer, a little bit of more ginger, and if you are happy with that, as in if you're going down the zero proof beverage serve, then that's it, right? Yeah. Then we add mezcal or tequila for the alcohol version.
So snake soup is actually real snake.
Real snake.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, the flavor of the cocktail really leans back towards the herbs and spices because those are the stronger flavor. Like you're not gonna taste a lot of chicken in this broth, but that there's some element of chicken stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I've got like questions coming out of my ears about snake. What are the are there any health properties to snake?
Yeah, so people drink this closer to winter because it's supposed to keep you warm. Just similar effects to ginger with that warming, right? Because it's a snake, also some you hear some old wives' tale. I don't know if this is scientific, that it helps fertility and male performance.
Okay, amazing. And does it come as like a whole snake? Is it dried? Is it fresh? Is it frozen? Sorry, I've
No,
got
no,
like we're
it's
rabbit holing down
dried.
the snake
No,
now.
no, it's already I won't say processed, but it's already sun dried. Just how like you find in Chinatown your dried scallops and uh, scorpions. Have you seen any?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so going down that road, everything's already dried in the sun.
Yeah.
I say this because they're a lot darker. So when they're dehydrated, they like pepper. Fresh pepper is green.
Yeah.
Dehydrated pepper red, and sun dried they're a bit darker like black.
Yeah.
Right. So similar to the snake and every other item that could be sun dried, the color's a lot darker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, we blanch it first, and then we double boil, and then everything goes into a sous vide bag where we keep all the elements in that sous vide.
Yeah.
Minus the alcohol, of course. Alcohol's at the end.
Yeah. Oh, okay. This is awesome. Right. I'm gonna have to be brave and try that when I next come to visit.
Yes. This cocktail is called bonseki, and bonseki means sand tray in Japanese. So we're tapping on the technique of tactile therapy or sand therapy. Comes with a very cute rake, and guests can perform continuous motions with the raking. They calm themselves down, and we serve this beverage hot, like a tea. So in Asia and Singapore, sometimes we call broth tea. So have you heard of this dish called bak kut teh?
Yes.
Teh is tea,
Yeah.
and it's an act of boiling,
Yeah.
really. So snake soup, we serve it in a teapot and teacup.
Okay, and you let me have a little play with the,
Yes, I
the
did.
thing with sand this week, and that was very therapeutic.
Yeah, the idea is once you're calm, we don't want to serve like a super chilled drink. Here's something warm, like an oriental hot toddy.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. This is so. It's just the whole thing is just such an incredibly fun experience, and it's just so inclusive for anybody who doesn't want to drink or wants to drink less. And I think this is the way the world needs to go moving forward. It's not about shoving soft drinks at the back of a menu. It's about making people feel included all the way. You've talked a little bit about kind of the art therapy, which I really want to do because it looks so fun. And I know that you do lots of corporate events. Let's just talk a little bit about the wellness workshops.
We do corporate events also because we're targeting spaces or places that may, have a bit more stress, and this is the outlet for it. Also, team building, and end of the day, if you want to drink, there's options for low, no, all the way to regular, right? So that's why we do corporate workshops. This is anything from art therapy to very simple somatic healing and cocktail pairing, or somatic healing and whiskey tasting, where we did one session for bartenders, in fact, where they would hold any bar equipment up, and basically you hold anything up for 5 minutes, you're gonna feel tired anyway, and then once you put your hand down, that is the feeling, that release and relief is the same feeling you get when you finally let something go.
Yeah.
All right, so it's a very simple exercise followed by using that same principles of mindfulness in tasting. We also do perfume play, where we get to do blending. So after that little Rokujin perfume that I gave you earlier, we want to do more of that at Spectre, where it's about, okay, I understand the aroma and flavors of these distillates. How do I make a perfume? So playing back on mindfulness and being more intentional.
Yeah.
And better yet, if you are making sense for your partner, then it shows how much you guys understand each other, shows your expectations. For example, my wife and I used to go for a lot of balls or networking events as a +1, because we rotate in different circles. How do I represent my wife the best, right? Usually, so she's a lawyer, so usually I come wearing a bit more like musky, heavier aromas. In my pocket, I've got a little flask because the lawyers relate to like, oh, there's alcohol in your pocket, but it's just a talking point with perfume. And if my partner makes me something a bit more refreshing in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe she wants to do more daytime activities. Maybe she likes the outdoors. If I smell something a bit more fresh and fruity, right? Singapore sometimes it's not ideal to take walks in parks. Need to put a big disclaimer. But the idea is, what can we do? Can we go for a picnic and things like that? So in my head, I'm already considering these things.
So nice. And I'm so glad to hear companies are hosting corporate events and again, making more corporate events more inclusive. I'm hoping to try and find some people to talk to on this podcast for companies who are changing the way they run corporate events and the way that their colleagues and employees can interact, again, just making it more inclusive. So it's really nice to hear that that's become popular.
We do have some also just meant for community. So we have, excuse me, basically what I want to do is if I can start a daytime program, I want to label chairs. So maybe just small sticker. Blue means I'm ready to listen. Green means I want to talk, and let our guests kind of like fit in and talk to people. More ground up, more grassroots. Right now, one of our more successful runs this sharing session that's called Death in the Afternoon, and yes, it's inspired by Hemingway's book and cocktail. But the idea is for people to come and share their end of life expectations, their experience with death. And not just death of loved ones or relatives, but death of ideas and opportunity. So regrets that we're actually still living with. Everyone's had, a death in the family or a friend, but that's more external.
Yeah.
How do we deal with our own regrets and things like that?
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, so it's a very simple 90-minute or 2-hour session. If people are done sharing, we have questions like, if you were to be hit by a bus tomorrow, or if you had $1 million right now. And in Singapore's context, that's not a lot of money because people say, buy a flat and that is 60%, 70% down.
Yeah.
Right? So if you had $1 million, what would you do, right, with it? And we just hear these answers and it's some of them are very inspiring. Some of them are a good wake-up call to where people are in the mental state.
Yeah. It's really funny. I was reading something, I think it must have been a meme or something on social today. And it was similar. It's kind of like, right, if you've got 40 million, people that get asked, if you have $40 million, what would you do, today? Or what would you do with it? And so many of the answers are all very humbling. And it's like, okay, I'll buy a house. I'll, make my mum a garden. I'd retire my parents. I'd buy my kind of friends and family houses. I would, send the kids to a good school. Very rarely do you kind of get these really big, answers as to, okay, I'm going to buy 50 sports cars.
Yes, that's right.
I think people tend to be like, actually, I want to start a business or I'm going to, start a community. And what was really interesting is a lot of the answers that were coming back, the question was, well, why not do them now? What's holding you back from doing them? Every single thing that people were saying is achievable, it takes time to buy a house and things like that, but things like going and starting a business or going and traveling, going and seeing a certain part of the world or, start creating a little garden where you can grow your own vegetables. All of those things you can do now, and what's holding you back and what's stopping you.
Exactly. And this session, this little group sharing, that's where we can say, okay, if, making a garden is step 10 in a 10-step process, what does step 5 look like? What does step 2 look like? And where are you now?
Yeah, and I love that, being able to kind of walk away with a bit of a practical plan
That's
to start
right.
making things happen.
And everyone's chipping into ideas and stuff like that. You're well prepared.
Yeah. Oh, it's so nice. So just the last couple of questions, and it's more around kind of the trends in Singapore and the what you're seeing in consumer behaviour. Are people drinking less? What's changing?
Differently, right? I think especially after COVID or during COVID, everyone's baking and making their own cocktails at home and exploring recipes and flavors. They come out with more knowledge. So it really depends if I can capture their attention in the description and the menu,
Yeah.
right? It has to be intentional. It has to play on their curiosity. So I mean, we have a lot of classic drinks here, classic cocktails, or drinks that are inspired by classic cocktails. But Tea and Sympathy, for example, we had one called Holiday Cheer, which was a Q4 kind of promotion. Low ABV that was the top sellers, and it's because people are suddenly discovering, oh, I can do honey and Sauvignon Blanc, or I can do mint and Sauvignon Blanc, that kind of thing. Or how does green tea play in all this? And they want to explore that. For malt wine, we sous vide the malt wine, and with elements of cinnamon and your traditional spices. And if you go to any Christmas village, it's actually quite heavy on the spice. It kind of burns and lingers.
Yeah.
But because of the way we do it, or rather, I tell guests that I'm inspired by red wine poached pear dessert, and that is my version of a Christmas holiday drink.
Yeah.
Right. So mine becomes a bit more fruity, more pear. You still get your cinnamon spices, but then people are like, oh, I never knew you could think about food and then put it into a drink.
Yeah.
And the idea is people are usually kinder and friendlier during Christmas. So if I serve this all year round and call it holiday cheer, we hope to invoke that end of year
feeling.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, I'm a big Christmas girl. Like I love the holidays. I think I'm an honorary Filipino. Like if I could put the Christmas decorations up in September,
that's
I
right.
would.
Anyone that has a burn in it. My family's like that.
Yeah, but my husband's like, no, 1st of December. Any sooner is like sacrilege. But no, I absolutely love that. And I think what you're saying is that people are almost expecting more now. I think, people's taste profiles are leveling up, and especially here in Singapore when we've got access to just some of the most incredible food in the world and variety of food and innovation in food. I think people are kind of expecting that from drink as well. They're expecting, really quality, sophisticated products and experiences, and almost caring less about the alcohol content and actually just wanting something that tastes great.
That's right. And along with lower proof or zero ABV drinks that are still trending since November or October last year, we are getting more and more requests for savory drinks.
Yeah.
Again, food into drinks. They're looking at flavors now and how do I drink it?
I think it's awesome. And I think, just generally seeing people drinking less and expecting more from what they're drinking, and forcing bars and restaurants to be more inclusive, for me is just amazing, and I'm so happy to be really experimenting and being at the forefront of it as well. Thank you so much today. I feel like I could continue speaking to you. We've sat here for an hour and I'm like, oh, there's like a million more questions that I want to ask you, but maybe you can come back. Or
season 2 maybe, I don't know.
Definitely. But I will definitely love to kind of come to see you in the bar and maybe shoot some content and really show people how special this is and show people what you do, because it's very, very unique and beautiful, and it's a really great, fun experience for anyone in Singapore. Anyone looking to visit Singapore, please check out Bar Spectre. It really is awesome. I'm going to link to everything down below for anyone to check it out.
Yeah, and we're located in this area called Tanjung Pagar, which is traditionally where all the TCM shops and halls used to be in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, and it's upstairs, beautiful shop house, and so you're kind of really getting a vibe and a feel of Singapore as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks.